My book is called A Backpack and a Bit of Luck. It's a compilation of short travel stories from around the world. Covers about 14, 15 countries. And the subtitle of the book is Stories of a Traveler with No Sense of Direction, because that's how I travel. I don't have an itinerary, I don't have a plan. I just go where the road takes me. And, you know, I do have some kind of a loose plan, which is where I'm going to stay for that night. And then after that, it's depends on where the road takes me. And my favorite story in the book is actually called The Dance of Life, and it's about India, because that really, that completely India is, to me, fascinating because it has no respect for plans, for your plans. So you have to surrender to whatever India says you must do. And to give you an example of what kind of travel I did in India, I landed in Indira Gandhi Airport at about close to midnight. And I came out, and there were, you know, all these hordes of auto rickshaw drivers coming to me, and they all know where I want to go. They can all take me. So I showed him this address, and it was actually the home of friends, mechanics, girlfriends, mothers, seamstresses, cousins, you know, whatever. And I had this address, and I showed it to him, and she said, and he said, "Oh yes, madam, I can take you there. It is, you know, you sit, madam." And I said, wait, do you know where it is? He said, "No problem, madam. Madam, you come here. I take good care of you. You are a visitor in my country, and it is my duty to take care of you." So I thought, okay, you know, he's a really nice, friendly guy. So I sat in the cab, and I think you know what is going to happen next. "Oh, madam," 5 minutes later, "Oh, madam, this address that you gave me, it is not complete." I'm so sorry about my attempt at a Hindi accent, but it doesn't work any other way. And I said, "What do you mean? You told me at the airport that you know how to get there." And so the fiasco started. And it went on and on and on for 20 minutes, and he kept on insisting that it is his duty to take care of me and that I should stay in the cab, and then he will take me to a very good hotel. "It is my friend's hotel, it's very clean, it is very good." I thought, okay, it's 12:30. I think I will give him the commission that I will just go along with his plan. So we reached his friend's hotel, which was very clean and not well. It was clean, but it wasn't very cheap. And from there, I stayed the night, and then the next morning, I saw some leaflets on the counter, and it was of an Odissi dancer from Delhi, Noida, actually. So I called her, because I didn't have enough money, and I didn't want to spend my next 3 months living in hotels. I had planned, my loose plan was to stay there for 3 months. And she picked up the phone, and she was so friendly. She said, "Oh, you know, why don't you come to Noida, and you come and stay with me? You know, you come and watch the class, and then after that we will discuss what we shall do." So I went there, and we had lunch, and over 2 chapatis and a dal curry, I found myself being carried along with her plan to make an Odissi dancer of me. So my plan to travel around India in those 3 months didn't happen, because I spent 3 months in Noida. And as a result, I became an Odissi dancer. I met so many people, so many gurus who are the second generation gurus that reconstructed the dance after India's independence, after it was, every record was destroyed by the British. I mean, that's another really rich piece of history. So the only place that I went to, the only other place that I went to was Bhubaneswar, because if you're an Odissi dancer, you have to go to Orissa. So that basically sums up my style of travel. Even if I go to another country that's not India, I've grown so dependent on this way of traveling, and so hooked on the surprises that come my way because of a lack of a plan, and all thanks to India. I think I can't, because the two coexist. I'm not just a travel writer. I write for, I write articles on topics that are close to my heart. I can consider myself a pseudo activist. So writing for me is a means to an end. It's something that I choose to use to fulfill certain purposes. Not many of them are published because because I write for the love of something and for my own purposes. I publish them myself sometimes. The book is published by MPH, which is a Malaysian publisher, but I don't chase the next contract. I write when I feel like writing. I write when there's a need to write about something, and then I look into whether I want to get them published or not. But my full-time job is actually in copywriting. I don't have a notebook. I don't really carry a camera. Of course, I have a phone and the camera is attached, but I forget to use the camera, because when you travel in the way that I travel, which means which means participating in life and absorbing your environment, one forgets to take out the camera. To me, it's a bit ridiculous to record something to remember in the future, something that happened in the past, when you could have fully experienced it there and then. So that's why I don't carry a camera, and I don't have a notebook. I'm not in the habit of writing notes, because then it interrupts the process. The story about India is called the dance of life. Dance is movement. It's choreographed in a way that flows perfectly, and the chaos in India is, to me, a perfectly choreographed dance. Even, I know a lot of Indians take it for granted and they don't see it anymore, but even in a traffic jam, you see a dance where the cars and everything, and the cows and the dogs and the peacocks and the pigs and everything, and flocks of birds, they just move like that, like a shoal of fish. So the reason I don't carry a notebook is because, when you're dancing, you don't want to stop, which is good and bad, because when I want to write about something, there are so many things that I can't remember. But the good thing about not remembering certain things that actually happened, or certain descriptions that were of certain places, like physical descriptions, then go into the back seat, and what comes out is pure feel. What comes out is what really moved you at that time, and that becomes the key emotion of the story. Yes, you're absolutely right, because I stay very true to the spirit of the story, but you could say that it's part fiction, because fiction allows you, fiction gives you more scope. So actually I had a panel session today, and someone said that it's very, very descriptive, but it's not really describing the detail of the carpet or the detail of a physical object. It's more to create the kind of feeling that I want my reader to feel, and to look at life, or a country, or a culture through my eyes, which I find is a slightly different perspective. I think travel writing can be unique if it is about how the author sees it. rather than what actually happened, you know. I find that a lot of I find that most of the stories are actually human stories. They're about people. And I never knew until recently that I actually like people. I travel to escape. I travel to escape people. I travel to escape a lot of things. And I find that everywhere I travel, the best stories were about the people that I met, the generosity, you know, and also it does help that they're strangers, because it is only with strangers that are, you know, we are really ourselves. And those very brief friendships are by no means insignificant. You know, you could know someone for 10 years and have a relatively superficial relationship or friendship. But sometimes when you travel, it's the law of attraction maybe coming into play, that you meet a lot of people whom you talk to for just 10 minutes sometimes, and you remember them for the rest of your life. And that is actually the spirit of the book. It is really about the strangers, the kindness of strangers and people that I've met along the way during my travels. So the stories are theirs as well. That's a process, because we're all born into negative experiences. In our first month, we have negative experiences, but how we struggle, whether we choose to struggle against it or go with it and take the best of it, is a personal choice. And it's the same with traveling as well. Of course, you know, there were disasters, and which led me to some really wonderful, beautiful experiences. Now, having said that, I'm not trying to romanticize certain things that sometimes us travelers may tend to do. For example, I'm always aware that we should not romanticize poverty. But there is a certain level of poverty that is not too much, not too little, that allows the spirit to grow, allows the generosity to come out and the charity. And that is what I find very, very interesting about the traveling that I do. I mean, I don't stay in the Oberoi, and I don't go to cities. I go to rural areas to experience that kind of spirituality, that kind of wisdom. And, you know, the sharing is so prevalent in certain rural areas that I actually find it disturbing and a bit distressing when tourists come back and say, oh, you know what, when I come back, I feel so lucky that I have air conditioning and I have this and I have enough to eat. And to me, that's really missing the point. It's not about how lucky we are and how unlucky they are that they don't even have indoor plumbing. It's about how they have chosen to live their life despite shortcomings, despite the fact that they're not as comfortable as we are. And there is even a certain amount of envy that they can live happily and be so much more generous than we city dwellers are. And that, to me, is the point, is my personal point in travel.